Hey, what's up? I'm Darkbblue, trying to help everyone enjoy games in depth. Nightreign, after all, is a Souls game, based on the combat mechanics of the base Elden Ring game. As a result, it's still important to learn the combat if you aim to master this game. In this video, I'll be showing you all the knowledge you need. Along with the knowledge itself, I'll be trying to make practical suggestions that can be applied to action instantly. So, the combat framework of Nightreign can be formalized into 3 pillars and 2 extra factors. The 3 pillars are 3 key combat styles that you'll be using throughout the game. Stat stacking combat, trying to outstrength your enemies through stacking of buffs and stats. Controlling combat, exploiting stun mechanics to control your enemies, preventing them from attacking you. And interactive combat, allowing enemies to attack first, then evading attacks and doing counterattack. Notably, in Nightreign, due to the limit of character capability, most time you'll be using a combat style mixed of the 3, instead of a pure style among the 3. The 2 extra factors are the special weakness of Night Lords and the ability to fight in complex situations, such as AoE or range attack. So let's start with stat stacking combat. Since it's the easiest to practice, you only need the 3 following principles. First, make use of consumables. You can get a lot of consumables in Nightreign, and they can be very powerful. Use them actively after you get them, and get new consumables later. This can make your gameplay greatly easier. Number 2, pay attention to buff skills and spells when choosing weapons. For example, you may find Secret Order and Golden Vow on secret weapons and Black Flame's protection on seals. Number 3, collect passives. There are global passives, typically rewarded as one of the 3 drops when defeating strong bosses. There are also passives attached to weapons. Such weapon passives, unless attached with a special red hand icon, will be active as long as the weapon is put in one of the 6 slots. So a weapon with a good passive is valuable even if you are not going to really wield it in combat. Get yourself familiar with the 3 principles gradually and you will gain more advantage in future rounds. With stat stacking combat being said, it's time to move to controlling combat. As said before, the key concept is to exploit stun mechanics to keep enemies controlled. So the stun mechanics here can be divided into 2 frameworks, suitable for 2 different types of enemies. Let's start with the first type, enemies staggerable with damage level. Damage level is a stat of each moveset you can perform. It's discrete rather than continuous. For example, there are roughly a dozen of damage level ranks. Then, when attacked with a specific damage level rank, when at a certain state, the enemy will display a corresponding stun animation. The biggest characteristic of damage level stun is that it does not require any prerequisite accumulation. Each hit of yours is independent from each other, so it is possible that your very first hit can stun the enemy and every hit can stun. This can create huge advantages, keeping the enemy stunned almost all the time. For example, if you use damage level rank 1 or 2 attacks to fight Summer Knights, you will find them very hard as you cannot stun them. You have to try to evade any incoming attack and find safe windows to counterattack. However, now you are informed that damage level rank 3 attacks can guarantee a stagger upon them. In the future, your fight against this enemy will become much easier. Now the problem is, what attacks have damage level rank 3? If you want a full spreadsheet, check the link in the video description. But if you just want some summary, generally, mid-sized weapons, such as Great Sword, Great Axe, Great Hammer, Flail, Reaper, Halberd, and Great Spear, can deal rank 3 damage level with their jump heavy, but their light and uncharged heavy attacks only have rank 2. Colossal weapons can deal rank 3 with their light attacks. Lighter weapons such as thrusting swords, straight swords, and daggers are almost unable to deal rank 3. Additionally, some skills, such as Stormcaller and sword dance when used with a mid-size weapon can deal rank 3. Practically, you need to first collect rank 3 weapons in your run. Then, when you see a new enemy, attack it with a rank 3 move to know if it can be staggered. The second stun mechanic is called stuns. Different from damage level, stuns is accumulative. Imagine a stuns bar similar to the HP bar. You have to gradually reduce this stuns bar to finally empty it, creating a chance to do a fatal attack. Since it's accumulative, you cannot stun the enemy with your very first hit and keep the enemy stunned all the time. You have to fight the enemy interactively, allowing it to attack freely before you can stagger it from time to time. Nevertheless, it's still important if you can deal more stun damage. To deal more stun damage, first you can use blunt weapons. This includes flails and hammers of all sizes. Then you can use certain moves that have more stun damage attack value. This includes charge attack, guard counter, which is performed by pressing the heavy attack button after guarding an attack, and jump heavy. Moreover, you can deal more stun damage when two-handing than one-handing. Next, let's move to interactive combat. As said just now, when fighting enemies not staggerable by damage level, you can only rely on stun which is accumulative, meaning that you have to fight them interactively in a certain period. Therefore, learning interactive combat is also important. Learning interactive combat can be divided into two aspects: learning the move of enemies and choosing a suitable interaction tool. Learning the move of enemies isn't that hard in Elden Ring, but in Nightreign, practicing the boss can be prohibitively expensive as it's so random. Therefore, I recommend looking for moveset breakdown guides online. Making use of such guides is much more efficient than doing the learning all by yourself. After learning the move of enemies, a good interaction tool can also make the combat easy. To be specific, dodge rolling is the most basic tool. It has an iframe window, basically a time interval when you are invulnerable. You need to time your dodge so that you are in this interval when hit by an attack. However, basic dodge rolling is just the basic one among many interaction tools. The other advanced tools, some of them rely on extra gears, while others rely on your own skills. The ones relying on gears include skills like Bloodhound Step, which has much longer iframes and distance than the basic dodge rolling, and a passive that increases the iframes window of your dodge rolling. When you come across such tools, don't sleep on them. As for the ones relying on your personal skills, the most important one is called Strafe. Basically, instead of timing, it focuses on positioning. You need to position your character in the blind spot of an attack so that you are safe without having to be invulnerable. Strafe, once learned, is actually easier to perform than timing your dodge rolling. But the problem is, it's hard to learn, especially by yourself. So again, you are advised to look for moveset breakdown guides online. In summary, based on my experience, it's really hard to avoid interaction in Nightreign, as your character stat is hard to entirely outstrength Night Lords, and the random gears make exploiting special weaknesses impractical. So practicing interaction is really important. Luckily, only the 8 Night Lords are new bosses, and the other enemies are from previous games. As a result, you can actually practice by playing the base Elden Ring game. With the 3 pillars covered, it's time for the 2 extra factors. The first to go is special weaknesses. Before you start a round, you can see a special icon at the top left corner of the Night Lord's avatar. This icon indicates its special weakness, and you should actively look for weapons with this affinity. The other extra factor is the ability to fight in complex situations. Basically, you need the ability to do AoE or ranged attacks when facing ranged enemies, flying enemies, or large groups of foes. Of the two, I prefer ranged ability. It can cover all the situations where AoE is helpful, but not vice versa. So when you come across a bow, a crossbow, a catalyst with ranged spells, or a weapon with a ranged skill, don't sleep on it. Now you gathered all the combat skills in Nightreign. Hope it's somehow helpful. If you want to play games into depth together with me, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you around.